If you want to save thousands on your next car purchase, use these 3 tips. The first thing you have to understand is how many types of dealerships there are in the United States. There's only 2 types of dealerships, and you need to be aware of these because they make a huge impact on your decision making and negotiating techniques. And I'm not talking about new car dealerships and used car dealerships. I'm talking about value dealerships and volume dealerships. There's a huge drastic change in both of these dealerships. Now, value dealerships are typically focused on selling cars at more maybe of a premium by adding value through their services, warranties, or other benefits. Some of these things could be, hey, we're gonna give you a lifetime warranty. We talk about that in a whole other video that it's a scam, but that's something that they add value that makes you as a consumer feel warm and fuzzy. Me here at Mike's Car Store, we are definitely a value dealership. Some of our cars we do charge a little bit of a premium on, but in other cases, we have to compete with all these people out there selling cars, so we're pretty competitive on that as well. But one of the things that we do here is we ensure that on a Honda, so to speak, that the timing belt is done if it's done. It only costs me $300 and some labor. You as a consumer, that's $2,000 if you want to get that done at a Honda dealership. So that is a huge value to you as a consumer when you're looking at a 100,000-mile Honda minivan or Pilot or anything like that, that you don't have to spend that money. Other ways that people do value is adding on different services like inspections or stuff like that. Me here again, I focus on the consumer leaving my place of what their experience is when they are out of my place. Here I can control every aspect of the experience for the customer, but when they leave here, what's going to happen? So I want to ensure that I don't have a bad car. I don't have cars that are going to blow up or beat up or start doing goofy things. So that is a huge benefit to a value dealership. Now the volume dealerships, these dealerships aim to sell as many cars as possible and often better deals and discounts to move inventory. Their number one goal is to get a car in through the service department, regardless if it's new or used, because all cars go through the service department, and get it off their lot as fast as possible. So therefore, they may be skimping on some things. That Honda that I talked about, you may have to, yes, you can get a cheaper price than at a value dealership, but you may have to spend $2,000 on getting a timing belt service done. Or if you're someone who can do it yourself, to spend that 4 to 5 hours to get a timing belt done and spend that $200 or $300 yourself. But again, you're giving something up to go to a volume dealership to get a lower price. These volume dealerships often have higher dock fees as well, and they won't negotiate those out. But also, how to tell the difference between a value dealership and a volume dealership. A lot of times the volume dealerships are in big cities, but that's not always the case. Dan Cummins Chevrolet in Paris, Kentucky, a town with like 10,000 people in it. They're one of the top 5, 10 Chevrolet dealerships in the nation, where then you have Bachman Chevrolet, who's in a town of 1.1 million, and they're in the top 250 in the nation. It's a huge difference. So the size of town that you're in doesn't necessarily mean that you're at a volume dealership or a value-based dealership. You have to look at their inventory levels on their website. Someone like Dan Cummins, who's got probably 2,000 cars in inventory, new and used, that's going to be a whole lot different than someone that's in a little rinky-dink town that's got 40 total new and used cars. That's how you can tell, first and foremost, of what you're working with as a volume dealership and a value dealership. Both dealerships do good for their customers, or they wouldn't be around. My suggestion and recommendation is if you are focused on getting the best possible discount, then you need to lean towards volume dealerships. But if you want a good overall experience and build that relationship, you want to ensure that you're going to a value dealership. You guys know buying a car doesn't have to suck. Well, owning a car doesn't have to suck either. As our cars are getting more expensive, we're keeping them much longer. So that's where I recommend to get your paint protected with a professional ceramic coating. Now, you never get a dealership's coating on your car because they're all inferior, and that's where I come in and I recommend SB3 ceramic coatings. They're the only company in the world that is backed by a third-party manufacturer. Yes, a third party has tested their product to say, hey, we'll put the warranty on us rather than the company. That is a huge deal, and most importantly, it's a USA-based company out of Pennsylvania, and it's veteran-owned. So if you're looking to get ceramic coating, head over to SB3's website. I'll put it here on the screen and in the description, and find a local installer near you to use SB3, the best ceramic coating on the market. Number two is probably the biggest thing that allows the dealership to take advantage of you. And I always hear, oh, I got screwed over by the last dealership. The last dealership didn't screw you over. You let yourself get screwed over by not having the knowledge or the wherewithal to protect yourself. So we're going to talk about finance options because this is super, super important. And I can't stress the importance of understanding what interest rate you qualify for before visiting a dealership. And you have to work with a local bank or credit union. These PNCs and Chases and Wells Fargos, none of them help you. None of them are on your side. They don't care about you as an individual. They only care about one thing, and that's the stockholders. And if you're not a big stockholder, they don't care about you. So you have to work with these local banks and credit unions, especially if you have challenged credit, because they're going to help you out more. So first, for new cars, I advise all of my viewers to check the manufacturer's website for current financing rates and, most importantly, rebates. I was just searching for a new Audi, and that was something that I did, is I went straight to Audi.com to look at what's going on. There's two types of questions that consumers ask. The first one is what probably 90% of consumers ask. What type of finance rates do you have? Dumbest question in the world. Absolute, the stupidest question you can ask. You're setting yourself up for failure. You just put yourself on a tee and the car salesman is gonna whack you right straight down the middle of the fairway. Now imagine if you've done a little bit of research and you went to the website and you see what they've done and you say, I know I can get XYZ, how much more powerful that is. In my case with Audi, it was a little confusing. So rather than me asking, what kind of finance rates do I have on this? I asked a little bit different of a question. Hey, I see that on the website, it states that I can get 1.9% for 60 months, 1 point blah, 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 whatever the case may be, but I'm a little confused based off of what that means. Could you please educate me on that? Now they know that I've done my research, and now they know that, hey, they better be on point to get me the correct information or it's gonna go south real quick. Now for used cars, I recommend you getting pre-approved for a loan, but just because you're pre-approved doesn't mean that you can buy whatever car that you want. Before going to the dealership, if you go to your local bank or credit union and say, hey, I'm looking for a new car, a used car, whatever the case may be, I wanna get pre-approved, they're gonna tell you, hey, great news. You can be approved for $50,000. But you have to understand what that means. If you have a trade-in and you have negative equity, that doesn't mean that, hey, I'm looking at a $30,000 car, I have $10,000 negative equity, and I'll have $10,000 left over of my approval so I can just get approved. No, you still have to go through the underwriting processes of that pre-approved loan. They're just saying, hey, if all the stars align, you are pre-approved for XYZ, but you have to still meet the criteria of the underwriting guidelines, which typically speaking is loan to value, and in some cases the model year, the mileage on the car. So you need to ask those with your pre-approval of what the stipulation is. So make sure that you know the rate you can come in with at the dealership, because that's a huge bargaining chip, because you can use that against the dealership. Hey, I can get 3.9% over here. You guys are at 6%, so I'm not interested in that. And then also they can be like, oh, you got 3.9, maybe we can get you 3.79. Save a little bit of money there, but it's a big bargaining chip than if you didn't walk in with that 3.9 and you would have got 6.9 or 7.9 or 8.9 because you were not knowledgeable and had the wherewithal of being pre-approved. It gives you big bargaining chips. When I started making YouTube videos on car buying tips in 2011, I was the one who pioneered this industry to do it. My goal in the year 2000 was to be a disruptor in this business. And I'm really excited that there are so many other people out there now doing car buying tips on TikTok or on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever the case may be. But there are some bad advice out there of leveraging your competition. Competition among dealerships only helps with one thing, and that's drive down prices for the consumer. And I'm not wanting to go be a race to the bottom type dealership or expect the dealerships to do that, but we're looking for a fair price. We don't even have to have an excellent price. We as consumers just want to be treated fairly. It's the number one thing that I talk to consumers all the time. I just don't want to be taken advantage of is a very common statement that I hear all the time. Getting the competition involved is extremely important. I'm going to use Corvette as an example. Corvette is going crazy now. I can get a Z06 for under MSRP. I can get a Corvette regular Stingray for well under MSRP. I've been seeing some $7,000 and $8,000 and $10,000 discounts now. So if I use Corvette as one of the top 10 dealerships as my competitor to talk with my local dealership, I'm most likely gonna get a better price when I'm talking to a dealership that is local to me, within that 10 to 15 mile range. You use their ad on their Facebook or on their website or whatever the case may be. It's like, hey, I can order this and I can get 10% off or I can get 5% off. That is gonna be a huge deal for you to do it. And of course, the biggest thing that I've been seeing on the internet is people saying go dealer to dealer. No, 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 no. We don't walk into dealerships anymore. This is 2024. We do not go to dealerships except for one reason, and that's to pick up the car we have purchased over the phone or over the internet. So shopping around is going to allow you to take their offer to multiple dealerships, and if you do it in text or if you do it in email, it's gonna allow you to get a better deal. But you have to understand that if other dealerships can't beat your deal by a significant margin, that you likely have a good deal already. So you want to ensure that, hey, that you have this little fantasy world out here that you want to spend X, Y, Z, and you're just going to find the dealer who's willing to do that, and you contact 10, 12 dealerships and you can't get to that price, you have the good deal. You need to take that. I hear that all the time from consumers. Oh, if a dealer really wants my business, blah, 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 blah. No, listen, they don't want your business. The dealerships, especially on the new car side, are working off of manufacturer retail incentives that they get on a month-to-month basis. They want to sell as many new cars as they can, but you have to make it rewarding to them because they want to ensure that you get a good survey at the end of the transaction. On the used car side, we want to sell as many cars as we want. We don't have a month-to-month basis as far as incentives. We just want to sell as many cars as we can. And when you're looking at used cars, you've got to ensure that you're looking at like stuff. We just had a customer hit us up on a Mazda 3 that we have in stock right now. And the customer was like, well, I can get this one for $3,000 cheaper. And I looked at it, cloth, interior, no leather, and then I look at it and it was a Canadian import. The dealership has had it since November, so they had it for 8 months. It's like, why do they had it for 8 months? And then I start looking and investigating more that was repoed out of Canada, brought into the United States, so it hasn't been at a home or a consumer driving it for over a year at this point. So there's probably something wrong with that. So the lowest price is not always the best deal. As you guys know, I always overpromise and overdeliver. So the fourth tip of this is that you have to remember that an informed buyer doing your homework will save you the most amount of money. And just like I've said in the past, you do not go to a dealership until you're ready to pick up your car. You go to that dealership early, you are costing yourself money 100% of the time.